Greetings, everyone. So today I thought I'd talk about a fun topic, and the concept is: did you make $1 million by investing in Coreweave stock this year? Now, I am not one of these people. I didn't trust Coreweave. I thought it was kind of a way for NVIDIA to kind of throw off some of its investments, and I thought it was going to go down, but it didn't. It went up. It went up a lot. So it kind of went public about 40 bucks, went up to 60, then back down to 40, actually below, and now then it shot up to $180 a share, and as of right now it's about $60 a share, or $160 a share. Well, that's a 400% gain if you timed it right and you bought at, say, $40 a share, and now it's worth $160 a share. You got quite a big gain. So I kind of did a quick math and said, hey, what did you have to invest in this thing in order to gain $1 million? And the answer was about $340,000. So hypothetically, let's say you had $340,000, you believed in Coreweave, and you invested all of your life savings into this Coreweave, and now you're a millionaire. So your profit is $1 million on that, so you actually have $1,340,000. So you actually have a problem now, and that problem is taxes. You just made $1 million. So this is about a strategy you can use to help your tax issue. So anything that you make, well, okay, so let's say you sold your Coreweave shares. You made $1 million gain, but there's something called a short-term gain and a long-term gain, and it really affects how you pay taxes. So anything you sell before 1 year time frame is called a short-term gain, and then you're taxed at your ordinary tax rate with all the tax brackets. If you wait longer than a year, then you get a favorable tax preference, and it's a long-term gain. So if you sell your shares right now, well, you're going to be in the highest tax bracket. Anything over about $750,000 puts you in the highest tax bracket, assuming you're married, filing jointly. It's worse if you're single, so you got to learn the tax brackets. But anything over $750,000, you pay the highest tax bracket, which is 37%, which is extremely painful. So if you sold your shares and got your $1 million gain, you're going to pay, it's probably not the 37 when you put all 37% when you put all of them together, but it's something really high. It's above 20, below 37, but it's a painful tax bracket. So what can you do? So let's say this is life-changing money, and maybe you want to quit your job now. Maybe you want to go buy your Ferrari, which you can get for like $300,000 to $400,000. I don't recommend buying a Ferrari, but hey, you're the one who made the right decision and earned $1 million, so have at it. So here's a strategy you can do to play the tax system and play your gains. If you think Coreweave is going to go back down again, then you should just sell it, pay the taxes, and away you go. But if you think it's going to hold near this $160,000 amount, you can play the strategy, and it has to do with margin investing or margin borrowing. So let's say you bought this stock at Fidelity, you've got your $1 million gain. Fidelity's margin rates are kind of high. They're 11%. I don't like that. I think you can call them up and say, hey, I want a lower rate, and they may give it to you. But you can transfer your funds, your stock, to a different brokerage without incurring a sale. So let's say you've got your $1.3 million. You could transfer it to, say, Robinhood, and use this. Now, I got to say, you're only insured at Robinhood up to $500,000, as you are with any brokerage. So if you want to be the most safe, transfer half of it to Robinhood, half of it to something like Webull, because they have the lowest margin rates. Interactive Brokers has a low 6% rate. There's a couple others, but Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard, they all have this high 11% starting yield. So first start by transferring half your funds to Webull, half your funds to Robinhood. And once your funds get in there, it didn't count as a sale. You still have this, but you'll instantly gain margin. So the rates are really low. If you borrow over $100,000 with Robinhood, your rate's like 5.25. I think it's similar with Webull. Now, the interesting thing is you don't have to leave your funds, your margin funds, in with Robinhood. So let's say you have your $500,000 gain with Robinhood, half with Webull. They're going to give you that extra $1 or $500,000 margin that you can then withdraw to go live your lifestyle. So that's how you buy your Ferrari. Transfer your funds into Robinhood, into Webull, pull a margin loan, take the cash out, go spend it, or invest it in something else. Now, I don't know if Webull allows you to pull your funds out. I think they probably do, but I haven't checked it out. But I know Robinhood does, and I've done that. So for the sake of this experiment, let's say you put it all in Robinhood. You have $1 million of gains plus your $300,000 above that. and you want to go spend your money. So pull a margin loan, take that $1 million out. You still have some safety there because you still have the shares, even though you borrowed against them, but you've got a little bit of a cushion because you still have $340,000 extra. But you get your $1 million out, and over the course of this next year, you're going to pay 5.25% for the use of those funds, and then you wait till next year after you've held the funds for more than a year. And at that point, if you want to sell your Coreweave shares, you get a much lower tax rate. So how the tax rates work for investments is the first $94,000 plus your standard deduction is tax-free. So let's say you're married, filing and jointly, you get about $124,000 that you pay 0% taxes on. Let's say because this is life-changing money, you decided to quit your job this year and you're not going to work next year, so all you have is this investment gain. So you have $1 million gain. You're going to sell some of your shares that would have netted $126,000 in gain. So you get that 0% tax-free. So if you've had this margin loan, you basically paid a tax rate of 5.25% for that first $124,000 that you would have gotten tax-free. Then it's up to you to decide if you want to sell more shares than that. The next tax bracket for long-term capital gains is 15%. And you can go, I think it goes up to about $600,000 if you're married filing jointly. So you can then sell about half of your shares. You only pay 6%, or sorry, you only pay 15% on that next portion. So between those two, you're paying something like 12%, 14% when you combine both the zero tax bracket and this 15% bracket together. But you could extend it even further. If you trust Coreweave, you could say, I'm going to sell this over 2 years. So first year, first $124,000 is tax-free. Second year, first $124,000 is tax-free. Third year, it's kind of a wash because the margin has cost you 15% so far. If you sold the rest of your shares, it's a 15% tax bracket. So kind of spreading this over 2 years actually saves you in terms of selling your shares. So because you have a low 0% rating on your first $124,000, assuming you're married, filing jointly, you get a 0% tax rate. So all you're paying is the margin interest rate. So it's an interesting way of borrowing against your funds. You got a windfall, you get to spend your windfall and pay lower taxes. So kind of interesting strategy. Now there are higher tax brackets. So if you're above, say, that $600,000, I think the next bracket is 20%, which is still lower than your 37% bracket. So learn these tax brackets. They're interesting. So let's say you earned your $1 million, or you got your $1 million gain. You don't think Coreweave's going to fall. You've made $1 million. Instead of just selling it right now, if you choose to wisely sell it off over the couple years, you pay a lot lower taxes. But if you want the use of your funds right now, pull a margin loan. You'll pay 5.25% and have the use for your funds for the 3 years. It would take 3 years before, if you sold at 15% of that tax bracket, it's going to cost you the same as having your margin for 3 years anyways. So just an interesting way of using the tax system and margin loans to be able to, I guess, both have your cake and eat it too. So kind of an interesting thought. Take a look at the margin rates, what you can do, and consider yourself lucky because, hey, you're one of those individuals that just made $1 million on Coreweave in a single year. So kudos, way to go. But the problem is you've got a tax issue. So if you had fun with this video, give me a thumbs up, give me a like. This isn't financial advice. It's just kind of fun. So we'll see you. Bye.